Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Random Direction again. Thank you for tuning in. On this episode, I'm going to show you how to build these little planners. I thought these would be fun to sell at shows and whatnot. I use my monkey, but you can use whatever you want. Do your own little thing. But I'll show you step by step how to build the whole thing, make the stand, put the little test tubes in there for your plants. So kick your feet up, pop you a little sody, and let's get this party started. Let's go.
It's Cooter music, duh.
You are now viewing Random Direction. You are now viewing Random Direction.
Okay, so the first step is to find your piece of wood. Draw out whatever you want to cut out of this thing, whatever you want to make this planter into. Just use your whole imagination. You're going to need a jigsaw. You can find that at your local hardware store. And then you're going to just start cutting this out. Kind of takes a minute, and you kind of have to be a little careful. So you're not going to want to just go full blast on it. And you're just going to cut around these edges. You're going to have to take it at different angles to get some of those crevices. So you're just going to cut around, just cut away. It's a little harder with these smaller pieces. You're going to want to use a thinner piece of wood. It's a lot easier to work with when you're cutting something this small. These are, I think, they're 10 by 9 is what I made them. So I found a planter on Amazon. They're test tubes. They came with 2 test tubes and a little holder for the test tubes. So I measured that holder. You'll see the holder here in a minute. I'll point that out. But I measured that and just kind of measured my piece to be able to fit that on the back. So you're just going to keep cutting this out. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Just felt like that would get a little boring, just watching me cut away. And then after you're cutting, you're going to want to sand those edges. Sand those edges, because a lot of those edges are going to get a little screwed up whenever you cut. You're going to get some splinters and whatnot, so cut away. So that top part is the little planer that holds the test tubes that I found. And if y'all are interested, I can give you a link to that. And I found those little stakes. They're just those little wooden stakes that I found, and I measured, and I'm going to cut those pieces. And I'm going to use the long side, so that will make a stand. And then I'm going to find me a screw over here. So you got to be real careful with this part. You're going to screw real slow because that wood will split in half. That happened to me. And luckily it split in a way that it kind of worked as a stand almost even better. But just be careful. So you're going to apply some wood glue here. And you're going to make sure that is flush to the bottom. That's very important because you're going to want that to sit level. And then gently screw that in there to just hold it down. You could just let the wood glue sit there and let it dry. That would work too. That wood glue is pretty sturdy, but I'm always kind of in a rush, so I wanted it to be a little bit more secure. So then make sure that the test tube holders are level to your piece, and you're going to put wood glue on there and drill that in as well. So now you pretty much have the base of the planter. So now it's just time to paint. So I take a little fat cap here, and I am going to get a black. And then I'm just going to paint the back of these completely black. I think it looks a little bit more finished to me. If you don't want to paint the back, you don't have to. This is your little baby. So you do what makes your little heart happy. So I'm just going to go around here and paint all of the back. I did have to go back in and touch up with some black paint because I could see some wood peeking out through. And just use a fat cap and make sure you get all those little spots. And so you can see the holes for the test tubes in the top of those. Oh, and then don't forget to play with your little pup. got to take a little break. If you have a little pup, this is Irie. She's a Brittany Spaniel. She's 2 years old. She is the light of my life. I do love her. I try to throw ball with her as much as I can. Make sure you're treating your little fur friend with love and affection. But I can throw this. She has insane amounts of energy. So, but anyways, back to this. So I'm gonna get the paints out, get the brushes, and I'm just gonna paint away. This took a while because there was 4 of them, and you're just gonna want to paint what you drew out there. You might have to use a couple different coats over the colors, but just take your time, have fun with it, and paint something that you enjoy. Could be your dog. You could make a picture of your dog planner. That'd be cool. So I'm not gonna bore y'all with that whole process, but once they're all painted, they're ready to go. I'm going to see I signed the back and they're all black on the back. I'm gonna add some little things to this with some spray paint. You don't have to do this. I like to add just little X's and hearts, and since it's Valentine's, or that I just love y'all, let's add a little heart. It looks good. There we go. So like I said, you can do whatever you want with this. I just like to add little runs and symbols and all kinds of little things. Then on this one, I'm just going to add a little X in the eye. And I'm using a skinnier cap on this. Those faster motions are going to get you a little bit cleaner of a line. So yeah, just have fun with it. Scribble all over it. I like the texture the spray paint adds to it. It's not so clean. Then on this last one, I ran out of paint a little bit, so that looks a little crazy there at first, but eventually got that paint working again. Just had to shake that can a little bit. Yeah, just add those little final touches. There you go. And then I'm going to grab a lime green here. And if you grab a can of spray paint and you spray into a cap, so I'll put a fat cap on here. And then I'm looking for a cap over here. There's one. So if you just spray this into that cap until it fills up a little bit, you can use that and just splatter paint all over it. Just splatter some paint on there, give it some more characteristics. And then I'm going to do that for all of these as well. On the bottom, I just left those there, sprayed it into that cap, and just splattered it all over those. There we go. Give a little artsy touch. Yeah, and that's they're looking about done. Then I'm gonna lay them out here on their backs to dry. You're gonna want to make sure all that paint dries completely before we head on to this next step. So I'm just gonna lay them out. I think I'll let these dry for maybe 2 hours just to make sure, because that next step is going to be the resin clear coat on them. So those are looking pretty good. So let's go on to this next step. So I'm going to use this resin. I got this resin from Michaels. I do like Michaels, I think, the best, but you can get it from Home Depot, a lot of different places. So make sure that you are mixing equal parts of both. That's very crucial. You can get a measuring cup, whatever, but make sure that each part of each bottle is equal in amounts, because that's a very important step. I've had to learn that one the hard way. If you mess it up, your resin is just not going to dry. It's just going to stay sticky. I've had that happen a couple times. And then I have these sitting on little sample paints. You're going to want to have them sitting up on something where the resin can't pour off and stick to the bottom. Because let's say I just put it there on the wood and I put the resin on there. Say the resin poured off and got stuck to the back, it's going to be impossible to get it off that wood. So make sure you have it sitting on something that's going to let your resin fall without sticking to the surface. I'm having a little trouble with this one. I'm sorry. Hold on. There we go. Okay, back to the original idea. There we go. So I'm just making sure that it's up there and that resin's not going to pour and get stuck to whatever it's sitting on. And then I'm going to pour equal amounts of the other half. So one's a hardening solution and the other one is the other mixer. It always comes in two. Make sure, so I just had half a bottle each. I'd measured before, so I just emptied these out. So I'm making sure that, all the contents are out of that bottle. There we go. I'm gonna throw these away so the little puppy dog doesn't get them. And then you're gonna take, so this is a grandfather's drill actually, but I got a little mixer for it. You're gonna want to mix this stuff very thoroughly. Um, I used to mix by hand with just a stick and always ran into problems. Really using this drill with this mixer is the best way to go. And you're gonna make sure that is completely mixed up. And it's gonna turn a cloudy color. Don't worry about that. It will make a little bit more sense here in a minute. But make sure you can't mix too much. There we go. And get all that excess off so it doesn't stick to the floor. And then you're just gonna pour an even amount on each one of these. There we go. Put a little over there. Put a little here. Put a little there. And put a little bit on this last one. And then I saved the rest of that for, I actually coated a painting, which came out pretty cool if you look at my Instagram. You guys follow me, whatever. So I'm going to use one of these foam brushes. I used to use just regular brushes. You're going to run a brush. No matter how many times you wash it out, it's going to dry. It's trash. So these little cheap foam brushes are the best bet. And then you're just going to spread that all over that monkey or whatever image you decided to go with. And you're going to make sure that it covers that whole thing. Make sure it covers every little part. You can use a little bit of force at first because you really want that resin to get all over that image. And then after it's all over the image, you want to go gently back over and just kind of spread it to even it all out. See, I'm going back in there and make it a little bit more even. There we go. And you probably should wear a mask for this. Those chemicals are a little crazy. And get those sides because it's going to drip off the sides. You don't want a whole lot of excess dripping off that side, so just kind of even it out, especially on those bases. You don't want any bumps or anything like that because you want it to stand level when you stand it up. So just coat it all over there. Like I said, takes a minute. Just make sure you get the whole thing. You might have to sit down there and look at it at an angle and make sure it's covered. Sometimes it's hard to see unless you have a really good light. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. And just get those sides. Just keep going. Spread all that resin out. You can see how they're kind of foggy. I'm going to show you how to fix that in just a minute. Just get those sides. The last one. And then you're gonna get those final touches. You're gonna, like I said, try not to get a whole lot on that base because you want it to sit level. There we go on them sides. Set this guy over here. Make sure you don't set it anywhere important because they will stick to something when it dries. So you're gonna need a heat gun or a torch. I only have a heat gun. So I'm gonna plug this guy in. Plug it in, and I'm gonna turn it on high. And you're just gonna go back and forth. This takes a minute, but just go back and forth until it clears up. All that fogginess needs to go away, all those little bubbles. And you'll see it clear. It's very satisfying, honestly. I really love this part because you can see it clear up and it's all clear and you can see it working its magic. But you're going to want to make sure each one of those just looks crystal clear before you go on to the next one. All right, and then you're going to let that set for about 24 hours. I put a heater on it, as you can see right there, to help the drying process. And there we go. It's all glossy. I'm going to take it in here. You see those holes for the test tube. Set it over here. And these are the little test tubes that I found on Amazon. I'm going to go over here and fill them up with some H2O. Fill them. You don't want to fill them all the way to the top because you're going to put a plant in there. You don't want it to just spill all over. So fill those test tubes up. Take the old test tubes back over to the monkey and they'll fit right in there. Fit right in there. Then I'm going to go over to one of these plants I have growing. So I like to cut off a piece that kind of forks out from another piece. I feel like it spawns and grows a little bit better. So I'm going to take a real big piece on that one. And this won't hurt your plants if you have the ivies. I do this a lot. I've cloned many, many plants. It's going to take that. Sure, it's all. Act like a florist. Own that florist. All right, go back over here and get another piece. I'm going to get a little smaller piece, but make sure it's kind of off of a fork. Don't just get like a single piece, if that makes sense. It's a little harder for it to sprout, but put it in there. And then you got yourself a planter. It's all done. I'm going to put this last little piece in there. And again, thank you guys so much for tuning in on this one. I hope you learned something. I hope you had fun. I hope you popped you a little sody. I also have these for sale on my Instagram if y'all are interested. I have an Etsy store. They'll be available there. And if they sell out, I will make another round. And as for you guys, I hope y'all have a fantastic day. Until next time.
You're now viewing Random Direction.
Cooter music. Duh.
You are now viewing Random Direction.